This is your lecture on the elementary rules of usage. Punctuation is powerful. The following two sentences illustrate this fact with great clarity. A woman without her man is nothing. A woman without her man is nothing. These two sentences have dramatically different meanings. And that's not all. Strunk-and-White writes, in a series of 3 or more terms with a single conjunction, use a comma after each term except the last. They give the following examples: red, white, and blue. Gold, silver, or copper. He opened the letter, read it, and made note of its contents. They further note that this comma is referred to as the serial comma. It is also known as the Oxford comma. You may find your more grammar-focused colleagues, some of your professors, or any of your friends who read or write a lot, in heated argument about the use of the Oxford comma. The comma itself is probably the most versatile of punctuation marks. In general, it can indicate that anything written after it is a definition, an explanation, an amplification of what came before. It can also be used to offset an introductory clause, introduce a parenthetical expression, and allow the writer to join 2 independent clauses with a coordinating conjunction. But let's look at a few dangerous examples. We invited the village idiots, Donald Trump and Mike Pence. Due to the rule that everything after the comma is an explanation of what came before, an amplification, a definition, this sentence means that Donald Trump and Mike Pence are the village idiots we invited. Now, regardless of your belief in this fact, that is what this sentence means. We invited the village idiots, Donald Trump and Mike Pence. Thanks to the Oxford comma, we now know that they invited the village idiots and Donald Trump and Mike Pence. The fact of Donald Trump and Mike Pence's idiocy is hidden from view. I should note that both sentences are grammatically correct. Their meanings are simply different. I love cooking, my wife, and my dog. This example seems pretty reasonable. Obviously, I love my wife. What you may not have known is that I love my dog too. Additionally, you may not have known that I enjoy cooking. But let's look at another one. If we remove the commas, this statement becomes a bit more sinister. I love cooking my wife and my dog. This example means I love cooking both my wife and my dog. The recipe calls for large amounts of dill, salt and pepper, a dash of chili pepper, and a serious case of insanity. Strunk-and-White notes the parenthetical nature of non-restrictive clauses and that we should enclose parenthetic expressions between commas. A non-restrictive clause, while unnecessary to identify or define the antecedent noun, amplifies or adds something. They cite several examples. The audience, which had at first been indifferent, became more and more interested. In this sentence, we might take out the portion that reads, which had at first been indifferent, and that omission would not affect the meaning of the sentence. For example, the audience became more and more interested. This means the same thing. Another example provided by Struck and White is in 1769, when Napoleon was born, Corsica had but recently been acquired by France. The part that indicates that Napoleon was born in 1769 is unnecessary for our understanding of the sentence, and is therefore simply an addition. But isn't it great to know Corsica had only recently been acquired by France in 1769, and Napoleon was born in 1769. In writing, specifically in academic writing, we should always use fewer words. People value their time. If you can be more efficient in your delivery of facts and ideas, you have succeeded in writing well. In 1769, when Napoleon was born, Corsica had but recently been acquired by France. We now know two facts, and we only had to read one sentence. Punctuation is amazing. Let's talk about independent clauses. An independent clause is an expression that can exist on its own as a complete thought, a complete sentence. I'm certain we all remember the definition of a complete sentence. It has a subject, which is a noun, and a predicate, which is a verb. And that's pretty much it. An independent clause is a complete sentence. This is a complete sentence. I ran. I is the subject. The word I is a noun. I am a noun. A noun is a person, place, or thing. And don't forget, ideas are also things. Ran is the past tense of the verb run. Put them together and we have a complete thought, a complete sentence. I ran. If we're feeling particularly frisky, we might even change the tense. If we do that, you will notice the sentence is still complete. I run. We must not join independent clauses with a comma. This behavior is called a comma splice, and it is a grammatical error. Here is an example. It was cold. I put on my coat. While these two clauses seem very closely related, this construction is in fact incorrect. Worse, if you put a sentence together like this, people will think less of you, might think you are ignorant or uneducated. Why would we listen to somebody who is ignorant? Every mistake draws a modicum of suspicion from your audience regarding your credibility. Your credibility, or ethos, is important when you write. If your audience suspects you don't care about the details, they might suspect your argument is flawed or overlooks crucial data points. This scrutiny from a close reading audience applies to grammar and spelling as well. There are, however, grammatically correct ways to join independent clauses. Like this. It was cold. I put on my coat. This construction employs a semicolon. I don't particularly like semicolons. I find them unnecessary. Here it is used to show that these two sentences, these two independent clauses, are so closely related that the author thinks we should read them as a single sentence. In my opinion, considering their proximity, one sentence following the other, I already know they are closely related. An end stop will suffice. It was cold. I put on my coat. Another method to connect these sentences is to employ a coordinating conjunction, like this. It was cold, so I put on my coat. Notice the sentence requires a comma now after cold. The comma comes before the coordinating conjunction. There are several terms that may act as coordinating conjunctions: and, but, yet, so, or, for, nor. I suggest you use coordinating conjunctions to join your independent clauses, if you need to even do that. For this class, I would like you to avoid the semicolon as much as possible. When you leave this class and head out into the world, use it to your heart's content. But in this class, you will avoid it. You desperately want to try out your new semicolon skills. You may use one per paper or critical reading response. No more. I should warn you that if you use it incorrectly, you will lose points. As for the rest of Strunk and White reading, I will let you study that on your own. There is a quiz below. You may take this quiz as many times as you like before the end of the week.